Good evening. Welcome to the Post Route. Here's your host, W. Earl Kitchings.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of the Post Route. I'm your host, W. Earl Kitchings, and as we do every Monday here at 7 o'clock, we'd like to bring you the Post Route Show, which features interviews and other information from Black quarterbacks who have played this game of American football for a long time. So tonight, we're going to talk a little bit more about this thing that a lot of guys are interested in when they go to the NFL and sign those contracts, and that's money. And our show topic tonight is called Show Me the Money. And what I'm going to do is give you some terms and give you some definition of those terms. So as you hear about them going forward into the 2024 year, you'll have a better understanding as to what they are, what they mean, the value, how they get achieved by these guys, and how it affects their livelihoods over the course of time because you hear them signing these multi-million dollar contracts either in their fourth or fifth year or when they get signed that first contract and become a millionaire as a rookie. There are stipulations and all kinds of things in these contracts that can either give them a lot more money over time or put a lot more money in their pockets initially and right away as soon as they sign. So, what we want to do tonight is share with you those terms and give you a little history on how this whole salary thing has evolved over time with quarterbacks in the NFL, especially salaries for black quarterbacks in the NFL because it has not always been equitable in today's day and time of seeing multi-million dollar guys of the top 10 highest paid players in the NFL in 2023, 7 of them are black quarterbacks. So that gives you a lot of information compared to where it was 40, 50 years ago. They've come a long way. And I don't think they're going to be turning back the hands of time as to these guys earning this kind of income because in a game that has now become bigger, stronger, and faster probably being the key word to a lot of this, quarterbacks must not only be able to deliver the football, but they must also be elusive and be able to have a, the ability of being agile in order to keep the yardsticks moving, to keep the plays moving, to keep the game moving in their team's favor. And these are the things that quarterbacks in this day and time are starting to have to be. Now, when I was coming up, when we played out sandlot football, we weren't worried about being a pocket passer. You could throw the football, but you also had to be able to run. This has kind of been innate in the history and the growth of black quarterbacks over time. That's just the way they played football. That's just the way their athleticism allows them to play. They're elusive. If they're big and strong, they can deliver the football. If they're small, quick, and shifty, they can elude tacklers and still deliver the football. So it's just a matter of how they do things based on their physical abilities and or their limitations. So let's get started. So the average salary in the NFL today is about $2 million. The average salary, but not all players are that well compensated, and this evolution of millions of dollars being paid to these players has gone on since the 50s. That's when they started, I guess, paying these guys um, what you would call a good salary compared to today's terms of salary and what they get paid. It would be what a guy might make in a few minutes of playing these games. And I want to date back to a guy that played football way back in the 20s. Now, Red Grange was one of the key players that helped the NFL get started. This was back in the 1920s. And most players were paid on a per game basis. game by game. I would imagine that they even paid these guys after a game because it was a game by game. So based on the receipts and everything, they could pay these guys. Could be one way. But in 1926, he signed a 19-game deal with the Chicago Bears that earned him roughly $100,000 for those 19 games. This was the first large NFL contract, the first large one. It did not sustain many other guys who came along, but it was a start. So as this evolving of this money started to happen for these players, we fast forward to the 50s, and one of my favorite quarterbacks of all time was John Unitas, who signed a free agent contract with the Baltimore Colts in 1956 for a one-year deal. 1 year, $7,000. Interesting enough, he'd get paid $437 for 12 weeks. And if he made it through the end of the season, he'd be paid the balance of his contract of $1,750. This was called a one-way contract. And I don't think the NFL nor the players had really figured out how contracts needed to really be for compensating these guys, but they were just trying to pay them something based on my understanding of reading some of this information. So $7,000 in 1956, $7,000. So we fast forward to the 60s. Keep that $7,000 figure in mind. In 1965, a quarterback out of Alabama by the name of Joe Namath was signed by the New York Jets for an annual salary of $427,000. It's a big jump in about 10 years. But he was the guy that was seen as being the top player in college football. So much so that his former coach, Bear Bryant of Alabama, called him the best player he ever coached at Alabama. So the Jets signed him, although another team in the NFL wanted him. He signed with the AFL at the time for $427,000. So that was Joe Namath in 1965 as a rookie, $427,000. 1968, though, a guy from Grambling University, James Shaq Harris, signed a contract for $15,000 salary and an $8,000 bonus when he signed with the Buffalo Bills in 1968. $15,000 compared to $427,000, and just an $8,000 bonus. But at those times, that was pretty decent money. And the leagues, before they merged, they were fighting over trying to get the best players. And being able to get the best players was done one way, by offering them top dollar. So when the AFL offered Joe Namath this extremely large contract, the NFL was put in a situation where either they were going to meet it and match it up, or they were going to lose out on a lot of talent. So, of course, what did they do? They adjusted their pay rates. So when they merged after that 1969 season, when Joe Namath led the Jets to a win over the Baltimore Colts, and that was when it was still the AFL, NFL. But after that, they merged, became the NFL and the AFC, NFC. Salary started to change. So in 1978, the average salary for a player was just under $62,000. Average salary. Now, we're not talking about the quarterbacks who get prime money. The highest paid quarterback during that time in 1978, Fran Tarkenton, playing with the Minnesota Vikings, was earning for that team for that team, 360,000, whereas O.J. Simpson was earning about 733,000. So quarterbacks weren't as valued as much as running backs for some teams. However, here's another stark contrast. In 1978, when he was drafted by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, now mind you, Joe Namath was at 427,000. Doug Williams was signed by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with a salary of $120,000. Now, I've heard stories where it was even less than that. And after leading the Buccaneers to the playoffs, who wouldn't feel that their services should be compensated at the salary levels that all the other top quarterbacks are getting? So when Doug Williams sought to increase his value monetarily, the Buccaneers weren't interested in doing that. They wanted to keep him at a low scale, and he left the NFL and went to the USFL. So that made a difference because a new league caused players to find better opportunities. And the USFL, for what it seemed to be, was willing to spend the money. They just didn't have the name brand like the NFL. So we keep moving forward. And two of the things that caused money to just swell and get to the point that negotiations and labor contracts and the Players Association got this money to go up was because that the NFL had to deal with two strikes, one in 1982, one in 1987. And this caused salaries to just blow up. Players won the rights to get more team revenue as well as the ability to bargain collectively. That helped average salaries go from 198,086 to almost 800,000 average salary by the start of the 1993 season. So as you can see, the contrast of these salaries has progressively gone forward, and as the value of talent continues to rise, so do salaries. So this past year, we saw a real explosion in the value of quarterbacks and their contracts. And 7 of the top 10 highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL in 2023 are black quarterbacks. Point blank. Dak Prescott got this ball rolling a little bit when he re-signed with the Dallas Cowboys for $160 million. Patrick Mahomes, after winning Super Bowls, $45 million per year. Deshaun Watson, 46. Kyler Murray, 46.1. Russell Wilson, when he left Seattle and went to the Denver Broncos, is at 48.5. Jalen Hurts was able to negotiate a $51 million a year contract, and Lamar Jackson and his mom, don't want to leave out who really had probably some strong influence on that contract, $52 million. So as you can see, from what Doug Williams and Shaq Harris dealt with in their startup years, the money has now exploded to guys are making in the multi-millions of dollars as quarterbacks in the NFL. And unbegrudging to any of them, you make what you can make. Now, the highest paid quarterback who jumped over both Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts is now Joe Burrow at $55 million. So as you can see, the value, and I guarantee you that if Patrick Mahomes wins another couple of Super Bowls, his salary is going to change tremendously. So it's nothing like what some of these baseball players can make over time, but that money comparably is getting to the point where if you're the quarterback, you are looking for your salary to be very, very generous if you can deliver on what you can give to the team performance wise and statistics wise. CJ Stroud of the Houston Texans signed a $1 million contract when he signed with the Texans, being drafted by them in 2023, having led them to the playoffs this past year. He probably won't be able to see a bump in his salary for another couple of years because he's still under that rookie umbrella. However, if he continues to perform at the level we just saw him, then you can expect him to be making multi-million dollars like some of the other guys I just named. And all of these guys are quality, but it's just that Patrick Mahomes is that guy who is delivering not only with his talent, but with his ability to show you he can get the job done with his mind. So those are the highest paid quarterbacks that presently exist in the NFL. Now, there is a list that you can go online to find, and it will take you through about 100 guys and their salaries from the lowest to the highest and their guarantees, and it breaks it down. And if each team in the NFL has 3 quarterbacks and there are 32 teams, that lets you know there are 96 quarterbacks. 96 quarterbacks. Some teams have 2s, but most teams have 3. I doubt if many teams are going to have 2. That won't make much sense because, as they say, you're one injury away from being hurt and your career either being put on hold or being over. So now let's get into some of these terms of these NFL contracts. Now, the first term I would like to share with you is called cap hit. Cap hit. And this refers to the amount of money a player's salary that counts against the team's salary cap. And the salary cap is what a team can pay its players per year. They're capped at a specific amount. Each team has a salary cap for each season, and the cap hit is the amount that a player's salary will be taken out of the team's salary cap. So when you hear them talk about salary caps and guys are readjusting contracts so that teams can do something with monies so that they can get some players they need or want, and they renegotiate the contracts, you can spread out your salary over time. You can spread out your salary sometimes. For some guys, you can still be getting paid after your time is over if that's what your contract called for, so that the team could do some things in order to bring some players in. But that is what that salary cap is all about. The next term is called total cash. Total cash. And this refers to all the monetary compensation a player is set to earn during the course of their contract. Total cash. This includes a base salary, a signing bonus, and any other guaranteed money. Guaranteed money. When you hear about a base salary, it may be low, a signing bonus may be extremely high, and your guaranteed money over time could be a lot better than what your base salary is. So just think of the base salary as just being some extra that you get on top of what you make at your job, week to week or month to month, depending on how you get paid. Every 2 weeks or every month, you get a base, but then there's extra paid with the compensation. Base salary. Base salary. This refers to the salary each player earns in a season as agreed upon in the contract. So that's why the negotiations are important. And most times, agents who serve as the negotiators between the team and the player are lawyers. Interesting enough, and maybe she does have some law background, I don't know, for Lamar Jackson, but sometimes it can be a very simple thing. So the base salary is paid week to week. So if his mother was able to help him negotiate a good base salary and the signing bonus and guaranteed money, that's money you get. So that signing bonus, man, if you got a base salary of say 500,000 um, annually, but your signing bonus was 10 million, that's money you get right away. And then the other guaranteed monies, and that could be incentives and other clauses based on what you do during the course of the season. The base salary is paid weekly during the regular season. How many of you knew that? The base salary is paid weekly. So if you're making a base salary of $500,000 for the season, and they break that up into 17 weeks, do the math. 500,000, 17 weeks, 18 weeks. If your base salary is a million, same formula applies. And it is broken down into 17 installments. So each week you get your check. Now, for those players who make minimum, if you're making a minimum, and I'm not sure what the NFL minimum salary is, if it's 200 or $2 million per year, or like I said, that's the average, but everybody doesn't get that. So if you're making, say, 400,000 in a season, and you're a rookie and you just signed, or you're a free agent and you just signed, you get 17 checks. So that's the base salary. Then there's a workout bonus. Now, some of these things I was unfamiliar with, and when I read about them and saw them, I needed to bring them to my audience so you'll know that there are a lot of complexities in these guys signing these deals. It's not as cut and dry as it looks to be, or as it appears to be. And sometimes these guys are holding out because certain things in their contract just haven't lined up as they want them to. So the workout bonus is a bonus paid to players for participating in the team's workout program during the off season. So when you hear about guys not coming to the workouts before the season starts, if they don't have that bonus as a part of their contract, well, they don't, they're not getting paid. Teams use the workout bonus as a means to lure players to stay fit during the off season. You stay in shape, we get you a little extra. That's the workout bonus. It's paid to players for participating in the off season workouts during the off season. Now, contract length. Contract length. This is the duration of a player's contract. Usually, players sign contracts between 4 to 5 years, and the longevity of most NFL players on an average is said to be about 5 years. That's the average. Not for everybody, but that's the average. Either because you got hurt or you didn't make the team anymore. Some players have signed contracts with lengths spanning 10 years, i.e. Patrick Mahomes. So when you look at the big picture of a guy signing a contract, you say, well, he signed a contract for $550 million. That's over a 10-year period, which breaks out to about $55 million a year. Okay, you can do the math. 17 payments of that check, per week. This is the duration of a player's contract, and this is what most players, after they get past that rookie year, those first 2 to 3 years, after they get past that, that's when you see the negotiations happening, and that's why you see guys either holding out or not wanting to renew for whatever reason, because they know that real money is coming. The next term is called contract's value, and this refers to the total amount of money that a player will earn over the course of their contract. It is calculated by adding together the base salary, signing bonus, and any other guaranteed money. I think we already covered that. No, that's the value. I'm sorry, that is the value, the total amount. Then there is what they call the AAV of the contract, and it is the average annual value of a contract. And this is calculated by taking the contract value, dividing it by the contract length. Contract value divided by the contract length. The player with the highest contract, i.e., Aaron Rodgers, at the time this was written, had a value of $50.2 million. Well, as we shared with you already, that value increased by some of these guys who were making $50+ million. But that average annual value come a long way since Red Grange and that $100,000, right? Then the next term is called the average annual value percentage of cap. So you hear these terms and you just kind of pay them no mind. And as a new player to the league, you may not understand any of this and how this works. That's why you need maybe a lawyer. Definitely B, you need an accountant to help you understand how this money is going to be set up and structured for you over time. You're not going to play forever. If you play 10 years, that's a great thing. You want to be compensated so that if you start in the league at 22 and you play 10 years and that's it, at 32 years of age, if you are not going to do some other full-time job and you want to live off that money you made as a player, you need to make sure that those increments that you have to live on month to month are set up so it'll take you a long way. And you would hope that with some of this money that you procure, you invest it and have someone invested in ways to generate money. But the average annual value percentage of cap, this represents the portion of a team's salary cap limit that players' contracts occupy. It is computed by dividing the average annual value of the player's contract by the team's salary cap limit for that specific season. That sounds complicated, but it's very simple. You divide the average annual value by the team's salary cap. And that's how you come up with the average annual value percentage. A percentage, not the actual amount, a percentage. So moving along, total guarantee. Total guarantee. This refers to the sum of money that is committed to being paid to a player. This money is paid to the player regardless of their performance or injury status. That's why you hear them talk about getting that guaranteed money. So no matter what happens, no matter what happens, you will get your money. Deshaun Watson signed a contract in the offseason that fully guaranteed him $230 million, no matter what happened. No matter what happened. The value of these quarterbacks is so important. And for them to not have any experience at the pro level, 4 years of college, 2 years to 3 years of actual playing, you end up earning after college, 5 years after college, if you're performing well, you earn this kind of money. And you want to make sure that you got a good CPA and a good investment person for you. So the total guarantee is the money paid to a player regardless of their performance or injury. Then guaranteed at signing. They call this a GTD at signing. Guaranteed at signing. This is the amount of money that a team commits to pay to a player when they first sign the contract before the player has even taken the field. Guaranteed at signing. This amount is guaranteed to be paid to the players regardless of their performance or injury during the course of their contracts. Amount of money paid to a player when they first sign the contract. Guaranteed. So as a rookie, if you get signed to a guaranteed amount of $3 million, and a bonus of $1 million, then that money is pretty much guaranteed to you. Again, there are many, many other ways of making these contracts fit a specific players. But when we talk about the quarterbacks, and as you can see on the screen, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, the top 3 black paid quarterbacks in the NFL, you want to make sure that your money is guaranteed no matter what happens to you. So those are the terms that I wanted to share with you tonight when we talk about terms of NFL contracts, because it'll be draft day soon. Guys will be renewing contracts in the offseason. You hear about all this moving around, guys going from one team to the other team. You want to hear about guarantees, and you don't have any idea what all that means. You just know that guys are negotiating over money. That's what they're doing. So I hope that the definitions of these terms helped you to understand why it's so critically important for these guys to get paid. You are tuned into the Post Route. I'm your host, W. Earl Kitchings. And as we do every week, we like to offer you our sponsors of our show. First, I want to tell you that if you are interested in getting a copy of the book, The Forgotten QBs, is right there on the screen, the little known history of black quarterbacks and their stats and their legacies and everything else surrounding them. The Forgotten Quarterbacks, written by myself. All you need to do is go to our website at quarterphiback.com. Click on book. It will give you the details on how you can order this phenomenal book. Place your order. It only costs $35. Shipping is free, and I will autograph it and get it right out to you ASAP. This is a collector's treasure. If you want to know about black quarterbacks and who they were between 1903 and 1990, because I pinpointed those years, because that was the time when black quarterbacks were really not given the respect that they deserve, then you need to get a copy of this book and read it, go through it. You probably need to go through it a few times because there's so much information. The Forgotten QBs, written by me, W. Earl Kitchings. Go to our website at quarterphiback.com, $35, and you can get your copy. Then if you are a alumnus or a supporter or a fan of a black college, and you are looking for that next piece of gear to impress your friends or your classmates or whoever, you need to go to the Anthony Lawrence Collection, the preeminent source for HBCU apparel, caps, hoodies, t-shirts. They are expanding their line of products each and every month. Go to their site at anthonylawrencecollection.com and find out what they have in their gallery of merchandise that suits your particular school that you either graduated from or support. The Anthony Lawrence Collection, they're based out in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. You can go online to their website at anthonylawrencecollection.com and find what you need there. Tell them you heard about them from the Post Route. As we get into the second half of our show today, now that you've been given all of those terms, I wanted to save this particular term for last. Signing bonus. Signing bonus, because that is a chunk of money. And this is the sum of money that players receive when they sign contracts. Signing bonuses are typically paid out up front and are not subject to being earned through performance. You haven't done anything, but we're going to sign you anyway. And oh, by the way, we're going to give you a bonus. They are considered guaranteed money and are often used as a way for teams to spread out the cap hit of a contract over multiple seasons. So they can minimize your base salary and spread that signing bonus out based on however you want to structure it with your agent and your accountant. Those are the ways of the NFL. The hit, the signing bonus, the guaranteed money, the contract. These are things that if you're looking at trying to go to the NFL, you need to be made aware. You need to read and find out how these things work. Now, there's some other things that are related to money and salary in the NFL that I just want to bring your attention to. And the salary is the money actually earned for playing in an NFL season. If the players get injured, they are put on IR and their salaries can be reduced to make up for the fact that they are not playing. This is called a split salary. And it is very, very common amongst players drafted in the last 4 rounds, split salaries, all the way down to what they call the FA, the free agency. So nowadays, a base salary is about $288,000 for a rookie, which for guys who are looking at trying to find that first real job in the real workforce compared to making their way to the NFL, that's not a bad salary to have. But be mindful of this, young men. 1 to 2% of all college football players end up in the NFL. Not a chunk of them end up getting there. And then as rookies, this is where you start this base. So you get that contract and you're trying to play to earn a position to stay on a team over time. So veteran players can also can sign qualifying contracts in which they are paid in cash at the minimum level, but their cap charge is only that of a player with 2 years of experience. Qualifying contracts. Like I said, there is a lot of information out here about what's going on with these contracts. And being able to read your contract, understanding your contract is important. Roster reporting bonuses, roster and reporting bonuses, lump sum bonuses paid out for fulfilling specific criteria such as being on the roster or reporting to training camp. Roster bonuses come in a number of different forms. Off-season roster bonuses are probably the most prevalent and give the players the most job security. These are the bonuses you hear about on TV. These are the bonuses you hear about on TV. There are some other forms. There are other ways that guys, you can sign as a free agent. You sign a contract that may be a limited amount of time. You can sign to be on the practice team. That could be a little limited amount of time and limited amount of dollars. So all the opportunities to play in the NFL don't always line up for the money that you see and hear about when you hear about guys making millions of dollars. Not everybody gets that money. So please be aware. Workout bonuses. We talked about this before. It's a way to incentivize players to keep in shape. Other incentivized bonuses that are only earned for meeting some type of criteria. Simple things like weight, often given to linemen to keep them in shape, not to get too heavy. So they will incentivize a bonus. If you come into camp at this weight, we'll give you extra amount of dollars in your as a signing a bonus or just a bonus in general. Achievement bonuses, things you do throughout the season. Skill players are the players who definitely have these type of bonuses included in their contract. Well, if you rush for so many yards, if you catch so many passes for so many yards, if you throw for so many yards, if you score so many touchdowns, there are all kinds of ways to create bonus money. If you lead a team to the playoffs, if you play, and of course, there's playoff money. So there's playoff money per round, then you Super Bowl money. So you might can earn upwards of $100,000 or more if you are in the playoffs and you go all the way to the Super Bowl and win. Win or lose, you're going to get a check. Win or lose. It may not be as much as the winning team, but it's more than what you might get if you didn't make the playoffs. But the incentives are out there for linemen, especially offensive linemen. Defensive linemen, it could be about sacks. It could be about tackles. It could be about tackles for loss. It could be about defensive backs saying if you get, let's just say, 5 interceptions throughout the course of the year, you'll get a bonus. So everybody's looking for a way to increase value in their salary and in their contracts so that they can make extra. Because again, what these guys are attempting to do is make sure that they can take care of themselves over time. Over time. You're not going to play forever. That money's not going to last forever unless you're smart with it. And, I've seen stories and read things online where guys took that money and invested it, started businesses that are doing phenomenally well. They're doing things to help people. Some people are building houses. Some people are building hotels. One of the guys that I think has done a lot for helping people is Warwick Dunn, who built houses for people who are in need of homes. He's been doing that since he started playing way back in the 90s. So you've got all these things going on to help bring you additional money. Then there's a thing called prorated bonus. And a prorated bonus is money which is referred to as a signing bonus in the press. It is essentially a lump sum bonus that is considered paid out when a contract is signed or an option invoked. And we'll stick to the option invoked, a prorated bonus, though in reality, the payout occurs over a period of time. So options are there, periods of times. You might just want to extend it over time. You may not want to get it all in one lump sum. Managing it over the time might be better than trying to manage it in one lump sum. Then there's a thing called dead money. And dead money is unused prorated money. And they gave an example of you find a car, it's a lemon in 3 years, you don't want it, you want to give it back, you still owe on it, you owe money on it, you have to pay that. And that's what happens in the NFL. You owe the salary cap money like you would owe the money back to the bank, dead money. And I'm sure many players are advised to avoid something like that in their contract or even being close to doing something like that throughout the course of their career. So all of these things are just ways for you as the general public to know, maybe ways for you guys who might be in college looking at going to the NFL, looking at going to the USFL, look at going into the XFL, look at going to the Arena League. The NFL is the creme de la creme, and it scales down from there. Guys in the lower level league don't make the kind of money that the NFL guys make. They don't get the bonus monies. They don't get all the other values, although they make salaries. Most of the guys who make money in those lower levels, they are the quarterbacks, unless you are a star guy that just happened to be playing for one of these teams. So keep in mind that contracts are very critical to a guy's performance, what they do on the field, and some of their contracts could be based on what they do off the field. Guys get in trouble for many reasons. some of them not very smart reasons, and you lose everything because of doing something that doesn't make sense. Injuries play a part in whether or not you can continue your career. And when guys go down, you want to make sure that you have taken care of that part. But the guaranteed money is out there. The guaranteed money is what these guys are seeking, and the guaranteed money are the best ways to make that contract lucrative for you as a player going forward. So tonight has been a lesson on showing you the money, but showing you how the money is laid out. So we hope that you have learned something from this. And before we close, I'm going to go back to our commercials real quick and let you know that if you would like to get a copy of my book, The Forgotten QBs, go to the website at at quarter5back.com. Click on the icon that says book, and you'll find out all the information you need to find out about ordering your copy of The Forgotten QBs. Now, also, there's a blog on that site that has newsletters to give you additional information about black quarterbacks in the game of American football. But all that's at the website Quarter5Back, where you can get your book. And then if you're looking for that special gear to rep your school, your college, your favorite team, check out the Anthony Lawrence Collection at anthonylawrencecollection.com. Go to their website, see what they have to offer, and let them know you found out about them on the Post Route. Well, my friends, that's going to do it for us tonight. I hope that you've enjoyed our show. Special guest next week. Special guest next week. I'm going to tell you about it now. The former Heisman Trophy winner from Florida State, Charlie Ward, quarterback Charlie Ward, will be our guest next Monday night here on the Post Route. So tune in, tell your friends to join us here at 7 o'clock. I would like to thank my producer and director, Ms. Ronleen Kennedy, for all her time and efforts in making sure that this show goes on, and for reaching out to our guests to make sure that they come onto our show. Until next Monday at 7 p.m., I'm W. Earl Kitchings, saying, as we do every week, to go deep and go for the bomb here on the Post Route. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.